There is a guiding principle, often found in the worlds of engineering and design, that comes from the writer Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. He wrote, "Perfection is achieved, not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away." This is not a call for minimalism. It is a strategic approach to complexity. It suggests that the most elegant, powerful, and often correct solution to a problem is not found by adding another layer, another feature, or another process. It is found by having the discipline and the clarity to identify and remove the single thing that is causing the failure. We are, by nature, creatures of addition. Faced with a problem, our instinct is to build, to add, to accumulate. But I want to tell you the story of a man who saved a city, not by adding a cure, but by taking away a handle. Let's go to London, 1854. The Soho district is a vibrant, overcrowded, and terrifying place to be. A mysterious and horrific disease, cholera, is tearing through the population. It is a swift and brutal killer. People who were healthy in the morning could be dead by nightfall. In the space of 10 days, over 500 people died in a single neighborhood. The city was in a state of panic, and the medical establishment was operating under a dominant but completely wrong theory. It was called the miasma theory of disease. They believed that cholera was spread by a bad air, a noxious cloud of foul-smelling fog that drifted through the city. This theory dictated their response, and their response was entirely one of addition. They launched massive campaigns to clean the streets, to add lime to the sewers, to improve the smell. They were trying to add cleanliness to fight the bad air. They were adding interventions, adding complexity, and yet the death toll continued to rise. But a physician named John Snow was skeptical. He was a man who trusted data more than dogma. He didn't believe in the miasma. He had a different, simpler hypothesis. Cholera was being spread by contaminated water, but he had no proof. So he began a process not of addition, but of subtraction. He decided to subtract all the noise, all the theories, all the panic, and to look only at the one thing that mattered, the victims. He went from house to house in Soho, speaking to the families of the dead, and he mapped what he learned. He wasn't adding a grand theory. He was simply plotting dots on a street map, with each dot representing a death. This map, which became known as the ghost map, began to tell a story that no one had seen before. The deaths were not random. They were not evenly distributed. They were clustered, with a terrifying density, around a single point on the map, a public water pump on Broad Street. He investigated the anomalies, the exceptions that proved the rule. There was a workhouse nearby with very few deaths. It had its own private well. There was a brewery where none of the workers died. They were given a daily ration of beer and never drank the water. He even tracked down the case of a widow who had died miles away. He discovered she had been so fond of the water from the Broad Street pump that she had a bottle of it delivered to her every day. The evidence was overwhelming. The pump was the source. Snow took his map and his findings to the local authorities. He did not present them with a new, complex sanitation system or a miracle cure to be added to the water. He made a single, radical suggestion based on the principle of removal. He told them to take the handle off the pump. The Board of Governors was skeptical but desperate. They agreed. A man was dispatched, and with a few turns of a wrench, the handle was removed. The people of Soho could no longer draw water from that well, and the outbreak almost immediately stopped. John Snow didn't achieve perfection by discovering something to add. He achieved it by identifying the one thing that needed to be taken away. His work was a masterpiece of elegant subtraction. This story forces us to look at the complex problems we face in our own lives, our work, our societies. Our instinct is always to ask, What can we add? What new process? What new technology? What new rule can we apply? But perhaps the more powerful question is the one Jon Snow asked. What is the source? What is the single simple thing that, if we removed it, would solve the problem? The most elegant solution is often not another layer of complexity. It is the courageous, disciplined, and sometimes revolutionary act of taking the handle off the pump.